We're learning more now about a double murder in an Orlando neighborhood. Police say the motive behind a mom and son's death was money.
Son. Farmers were willing to stake their lives because they feared corporations would have taken over their farms if the government did away with a guaranteed minimum price subsidy on certain crops.
And now we're living in a world right now where inflation's getting out of control, especially in America, right? In the last year, inflation's up like 6-7%. So no poor person is going to take that money and just leave it in the bank. They're going to either spend it or invest it. Let's say there's 100 poor people and the 100 poor people spend their money. What do they spend it with? Businesses. Who owns businesses? Rich people.
बहुत हो गया. Okay, let me tell you a story. Story of me. No. Story of us. Let's say you born in 2004, because I born in 2004. The problem is not when you born. The problem begins if you ask yourself where you born. Rich or not so rich. That very moment we have to decide what we run after the whole life, what we do for the whole life. It's maybe money or money. Yeah, money is still the ultimate thing for survival, we all know that. But the paths are different. The path of the first person starts with convent school, premium clothes, abroad studies, world trips, and ends in a nice little wooden box buried in the soil. I wouldn't say it's always happy to be in the first person's place, but it is a lot better than the second person's place. The path of the second person starts with not so good private school, struggling to match the top score in competitive exams to get into the top colleges in India. It's like a do or die situation for them in inter and 11th or 12th class. But it's not actually. And you know what? They start their journey at the age of 24 actually, by doing job or business and trying their best to get into the place where the first people are, the rich place. Plans are different. The first person planned to go for Maldives for the weekend, and the second person planned to go for the movie or any beach for the weekend. The desires are different. One expect to get a nice little car for his birthday, and the second person expect to get a nice pair of shoes. There is a difference. The top 10% of the Indian population holds 77% of the wealth of the country. 73% of the wealth generated in 2017 goes to the top 1 richest persons in the world. While 670 million Indian people who comprise of 50% of the Indian population see only 1% in their wealth growth. And you know what? There is expected to be 221 billionaires in our country. Dude, after seeing all these things, I really thought the matrix is real.
And you'd work all day, and at the end, you got food in the house. Now, you work all day, you get money, and you spend all your money on a food and a house. A government would get slaves, make them work for free, and build things. So they've stopped doing that now. So what do now? They get people, make them build things for money, but the government print all the money. So if a government can create as much as they want of something from thin air, and you'll give up your life for this thing they can create from thin air as much as they want, you are still their slave. If you actually wake up and look around you, you realize you're being destroyed in real time.
Okay. बहुत हो गया. Let's leave that actually. Let's talk about the history of the money. If we go back to 8,000 years earlier, which is the period of no money or any other currency, people barter for goods and services. We all know how it works. We studied it in the school. For those who don't know, here, listen. If person A has food and he don't have any weapon, and person B has weapon and he don't have any food, the trade will happen between each other to transfer food and weapon. Same happens with services. If we work for someone for 1 hour, he will give you a rice or vegetables or any fruits in return. That's how the services and goods are bartered in the old days. This happened until 1250 BC, I think, until when the first currency is born. Shekel. Later, so many coin currencies are created, bronze, they are made up of bronze, silver, gold, any other, okay? After this, kingdoms are created, the era in which kings rule the world. And we all know what happened there. Wars happened between the countries, between the kingdoms, for gold, for land, for women, for many things. After that, paper money is invented. Countries started to have different values for their currency in different countries. And you know what? World War happens due to the economic conflicts which happened in the Great Depression. Now we are using digital currencies. If we go a little future to 2050, we rarely see paper money. There is only digital money there. Okay, this is the rough outline of the money that evolves over the years. Now let's begin. What happens if there is no money in 2023? I mean, it disappears. You see, I wouldn't say we again go back to the barter system which happened in the era of tribes, This time, it will be terror. Okay, before talking about what happens to a particular person, let's talk about what happens to the government and countries. Government wouldn't be able to collect taxes, which means no money for the government, which means they can't pay salaries to their subsidiaries. Military, education, construction, health, transport, which are almost all our services, which leads to extreme insecurity for the countries because there is no army, no road and transports because there is no construction, no maintenance. Because there is no government, countries will fight for resources. No. There is no countries here because country is united by their economy. If there is nothing called economy, there is nothing called countries, there is nothing called states, there is nothing called districts. Every individual person will fight for the physical wealth, like land, like food, like water, clothing, natural resource, any other. Now, and you might ask, how is this different from the barter system which happened in the early age? Why can't people just trade for the goods and services? Let me tell you something. If we talk about the early age is mostly driven by the goods than services. You see, people strive for food, goods and agriculture in the early age. If you see right now, you know the situation of agriculture, you know the situation of farmers. No one really cares. This world is driven by technology. Education, health, transport, entertainment, technology. These are the ruling things in the world right now. People need them, which are services. Okay, let's talk about the particular person's perspective. I started this video with a little story, right? Rich versus poor. If there is no money, if there is nothing called money, there is nothing called economy, there is nothing called brand. It's always will versus will. Right now, it is will versus will. I mean, there is no difference between costly and not costly. There is no difference between branded and not branded. Lamborghini and Nano. There is nothing difference because it is both are used for transport. Nike versus Puma, no difference. But this time, it's not money that drives our fate. It's power. Power can be a weapon, manpower, masculinity, smartness, armies, any other thing. Attacks will become necessary to own something valuable. Less powerful people will become the slaves under the people who have power. This is not new actually. It also happens in the time of tribes. It also happens in the time of at the beginning of civilization. People used it to be slaves under the people who have weapon and army. We humans are smart, intelligent. That's why we created a system called economy. Everything needs to have a tag price, whether it's good or service. In this present world, people with more intelligence can become rich sooner or later. And how? Of course, by looting money from other people. That's how the system works. If you can't change the system, join the system. We have studied it in the school time. Survival of the fittest. It is still applicable in the present world. People who have knowledge, information about the system runs the system. In other words, we call it as matrix. And this video is not done yet actually. We do have another 2 parts which talks about what happens if everyone has same amount of money. Like if we distribute same amount of money to each and every person in the world. What happens if every country has single currency? The currency all around the world will have the same value. If we go back to the era which has no paper money, gold has the same value all around the world. Yeah, see you in the next video. And this time, I will not beg you to do subscribe for my channel because it's your job to get that intelligence that others don't have. And it is just a 1 click away. And why are you not doing that?